Find something safe to play with, please. What? No. Find something safe to play with. Bro.
On October 25th, 2025, Birdman didn't just catch an L at that Vera.
Shout out to Turkey, little bitch, you ain't here before.
One night had the whole internet going crazy. Viral moments, public beefs popping off, and 3 whole decades of shady cash money business getting dragged back into the light. And it all jumped off inside ComplexCon when Vozoos turned explosive. So, peep this. What goes down when one of the most plugged-in bosses in the rap game, a dude who done put on some of the biggest names to ever touch a MIC, finds himself boxing emotionally in front of everybody and out of nowhere, all in one wild night. What happens when the cameras stay rolling? The whole crowd is watching and somebody says the wrong thing at the absolute worst time. On October 25th, 2025, the streets found out for real. That night, Cash Money Records and No Limit Records went head-to-head in a crazy anticipated Vozoos battle at ComplexCon out in Vegas. The first Vozoos in over 3 years. Fam. And while the whole thing was supposed to be a celebration of 2 legendary Southern hip-hop squads, what popped off afterwards became the story that had everybody and their mama talking. 'Cause right after that versus rap, Birdman's own people started leaking footage. Wild, uncomfortable, straight-up explosive footage that painted a picture of a man who was tweaking. A man who, despite decades of WS, billions in bread, and a whole empire that stretched across generations of artists, looked like he was losing his grip on the whole narrative. Let me run you through everything that went down that night, and more importantly, all the mess that came after. To really understand why what happened next was such a big deal, you got to first understand the magnitude of what was going down inside ComplexCon that evening. Buzz, the brainchild of legendary producers Swiss Beats and Timbaland, got cooked up during the 2020 pandemic as a way for artists and labels to go bar for bar, hit for hit in what became must-see TV for hip-hop heads across the globe. The setup was simple but deadly effective. 2 sides run their biggest bangers, and the internet decides who took it. For this particular smoke session, the battle was between Cash Money Records, founded by Birdman and his brother Slim back in '91, and No Limit Records, founded by Master P in 1990. Both crews came up out of New Orleans. Both ran the late 90s and early 2000s. Both had their own distinct sounds and ways of moving. Cash Money stayed known for that bounce-influenced production, that flashy drip, and for putting on artists that would define whole eras. Lil Wayne, Juvenile, the Hot Boys, No Limit, on the other hand, built their rep on that military-themed production, them squad tracks, and a deep roster that included Master P himself, Mystical, Silk, The Shocker, and at one point even Snoop Dogg. The battle was streamed live on Apple Music. And from the jump, when that first record dropped, it was clear this was going to be a night for the books. Now on the No Limit side, Master P rolled through with Mia X, Silk the Shocker, Mystical, Choa, and in what became the most talked about moment of the whole night, a surprise pull-up from Snoop Dogg, who, if you'll remember, was signed to No Limit from '98 to 2001. Mia X in particular absolutely boarded that stage with her performances, earning mad love from fans and celebs alike. And then there was Snoop, closing out the No Limit set with Down for My featuring C, Murder, and Magic. Snoop reminded everybody that his No Limit run was one of the most successful stretches of his legendary career. The crowd went absolutely stupid. On the Cash Money side, Birdman pulled up with BG, Manny Fresh, Juvenile, and what was supposed to be a partial Hot Boys reunion, though Lil Wayne and Turk were notably MIA. They ran the classics, Get Your Shine On, Project B, Juvenile's iconic Back That Ass Up, and
Money ain't gonna never die. Long as I'm alive, hold on, Fresh, wait, Fresh. Long as I'm alive, Cash Money ain't gonna never die. Shout out to my NBA young boy, NBA rich gang. Who don't like it? Right. We with all the bullshit. If you ain't with us.
But it wasn't just the general energy that caught people's attention. It was what he said about Turk. Birdman went on to call out Hot Boy Turk, who was absent from the event. The disc was on site. It was personal as hell, and it got broadcasted to millions. Turk, for his part, clapped back almost immediately on socials, escalating their longing beef. But what happened next immediately after the Vozoos ended became the footage that truly went viral. Now, it's worth noting the broader context here. This wasn't just any night for Birdman. This was supposed to be a triumphant return to the spotlight, a reminder to the hip-hop world that Cash Money Records, despite all the controversies, despite all the lawsuits, despite all the artists who had left and returned and left again, was still standing, still relevant, still a force to be reckoned with. And yet here he was watching as No Limit seemingly dominated the crowd. Watching as Snoop Dogg brought the house down with records that weren't even made under the Cash Money umbrella. Watching as the absence of Lil Wayne and Turk was noted again and again on social media. For a man who has built his entire persona around winning, around dominance, around being the ultimate boss, this was not the night he had envisioned. And the frustration was palpable. You see, Birdman wasn't done for the night. Agitated from the battle and clearly feeling some type of way about the public perception that Cash Money had lost to No Limit, he made his way outside the venue where he encountered Kenny Brooks. Now Kenny Brooks, better known as a funny salesman, is a Detroit-based comedian who has gone massively viral for his over-the-top hilarious door-to-door sales pitches. Whether he's selling cleaning products or offering shoe-shining services, Brooks has built a reputation as one of the internet's most beloved comedic personalities. Everyone loves Kenny. Brooks approached Birdman for what he thought would be a sponsor.
I got the best thing since cake and ice cream. It's real.
And that's when everything went sideways. Birdman interpreted the comment as disrespect, possibly linking the phrase ice cream to Master P.'s famous nickname Ice Cream Man, from his legendary 1996 album of the same name. Whether intentional or not, Birdman took it as a jab, especially coming right after the verse, he snapped. Birdman told Brooks to find something safe to play with, and then went on to claim,
Find something safe to play with, please. What? No. Find something safe to play with, bro.
Confrontation was captured on video and went viral almost instantly. In January 2026, Brooks finally broke down the incident in a video, explaining that his comment was completely unintentional. I unintentionally said something to make Birdman upset. He clarified that the cake and ice cream line was meant as a compliment, not shade. But this incident, as entertaining and memory-worthy as it was just the beginning. Because what came next, what Birdman's affiliate shared in the weeks that followed, painted a far more disturbing picture, the shadow of a Young Money, decades of accusations. The Vozu's incident and the confrontation with Kenny Brooks might have been written off as a bad night, a mogul having a moment under the pressure of public scrutiny. But for those who have been paying attention to Birdman's career over the past 3 decades, the events of that October evening was simply the latest chapter in a much longer, much darker story. Because Birdman's reputation, as impressive as his successes have been, has always been shadowed by controversy. And in December 2025, when affiliates began sharing footage of him, footage that many described as chilling, the internet was forced to reckon with a question that has haunted hip-hop for decades. Who is a real Birdman? In mid-December 2025, a clip surfaced on social media showing what appeared to be a tense, emotionally charged interaction between Birdman and NBA YoungBoy. The footage was short, decontextualized, and offered no clear explanation for what were happening. But the reaction was immediate and visceral. Fans and online commentators interpreted the clip as coercive, emotionally aggressive, and indicative of what many called a dark power struggle within the music industry. Comment sections became battlegrounds, with users debating whether the footage exposed long-suspected dynamics in Birdman's mentorship style, or whether it was simply a misreading fueled by years of accumulated hate. To understand why this clip struck such a nerve, you have to understand the history between Birdman and the artist as guided over the years. Starting with his most famous protege, Lil Wayne, born Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., was signed to Cash Money Records at the age of 12 in 1995. He was part of the Hot Boys alongside Juvenile BG and Turk. He would go on to become the label's flagship artist, releasing blockbuster albums like the THA Carter series and founding Young Money Entertainment as a subsidiary imprint under Cash Money in 2005. For years, Birdman and Lil Wayne presented themselves as family. Birdman referred to Wayne as his son. Wayne called Birdman Daddy. There were photos of them kissing on the lips, images that Birdman later addressed in 2021, calling it a mafia greeting and denying any impropriety. But in December 2014, the relationship shattered publicly. Wayne took to Twitter, calling himself a prisoner of Cash Money and accusing Birdman of delaying his album Thor Carter 5. He claimed Birdman owed him an $8 million advance of the album and had violated their joint venture agreement. In January 2015, Wayne filed a lawsuit seeking $51 million and is released from the label. He accused Birdman of diverting $70 million from a Universal advance, using it for personal expenses rather than artist development. The legal battle dragged on for years. In July 2015,
Back in 2015, Lil Wayne sued Birdman and Cash Money for $51 million. He was trying to get out of his contract as well. He also sued Universal Music for $40 million, saying he was owed royalties for Young Money.
In June 2018, Wayne settled with Cash Money for a reported $10 million, significantly less than the $51 million sought, gaining his freedom from the label and full ownership of Young Money. That Carter 5 was finally released that September, debuting at #1 on the Billboard 200. But here's the thing. Lil Wayne wasn't the first artist to make these accusations against Birdman, and he certainly wasn't the last. Juvenile, one of the original Hot Boys, and the man behind the iconic Back That Ass Up, left Cash Money in 2001 amid accusations that he was owed millions from his quadruple platinum album 400 Degrees. In 2003,